Good morning. My name is Richard Schaefer. I'm with the Region Appeal Corporate Energy Team. We have been involved with solar for 6 years and just have our story to share quickly. Unfortunately, I am the fellow stand between you and lunch. So in my defense, I have lots of pictures and hopefully they're decent to look at. So just really quickly, who we are. We're 13 individuals working for the Region Appeal Corporate. We deal with all sorts of matter of energy management features and aspects. My specific role, renewable energy technologies. Just wanted to show you though that basically renewable energy is part of a holistic approach to energy management. It's not by in itself, standing on its own. In terms of the renewable energy strategy in 2005, it was all about demonstration. It was about touchy-feely. Tell me what this means. No, don't tell me. Show me. Show me. So we have operators, maintenance people. We have project managers. We've got decision makers council. We have all sorts of folk who now can touch and they can look at our projects and make decisions. Hopefully, with the capacity being built, that the decisions are being made at that conceptual level when new projects are being developed. Why don't we consider a green roof? Why don't we consider some solar hot water at a particular site A or B? Specifically, we cover off most of public works, water, commercial, childcare, residential, social housing. We've touched on PV, hot water, geothermal, green roofs. We are currently looking at solar air heating for the next couple of years. So the picture I just want to paint here for us is that there's a mix of technologies. What's appropriate for a different building may not be for another. So that's something that we've been moving ahead. Specifically, just want to touch on this. I know this is a PV project. Dave, thanks for that comment about solar hot water. It's definitely something to be considered. We have a project here at a child care center. It's knocking off about 50% of our annual heating bill there. It's doing a wonderful job. So this is our first PV project in 2007. This was installed. These are our solar flares, 10.8 kilowatts, so 9 poles, 1.2. We come at solar with more of a, it has to be visible and it has to be something that makes sense. It paints a picture, it inspires. What we're trying to do with this particular project, and thanks to EnerSource, we're able to make this work. This is the beautification of Lakeshore down on the south end around Clark's, and there's a community recycling center that was expected to be built just west of here. The south side of the city of Mississauga is looking at a sustainability demo park. So we were envisioning this sort of node of beauty and sustainability down at the site. This is just interconnected. I understand this is a business case discussion, so please feel free to ask me a question. I unlike our previous speaker, am public, so you could get the data from me and you can twist it out of me later, but I just put it up here on the screen for you as well. This is a non-fit, microfit project as well. Just wanted to point out synergies between some of the other technologies. This is a green roof ballast system. There's no penetrations of the roof. Basically, the weight of the aggregate, the growing roof aggregate, is holding down our modules. This is a pretty small system, but what we're trying to do in this particular pilot was to demonstrate what do we think about this and does it work. And so we're going to be doing this on a community recycling center in Brampton, 2012, hopefully. This is our first microfit project. There's 5 microfit projects that we have underway. We've got 2 fit. This is 11 Division Police Station down at Dundas and Erin Mills Parkway. I want to point out the pricing. And the pricing is something that, there's a message here I want to share with you. It's from our point of view, it's small projects, 10 kilowatts as you can see here, trying to make it fit on a retrofit application and then whammy the contractor with my documents, the RFPs I put out. Maybe there's 10 pages where I'm involved and then there's 100 pages that make it out. There's a lot of paperwork contractors have to deal with, so, and we paid a premium for it. And that's just the reality. This is a high-end price, $40,000 just for these 42 posts. This is a lesson learned, just sharing with you as well. Pitched roof application. Each of these posts had to be cut into the corrugated steel that's there, had to be welded underneath, had to be reflashed, re-welded, and just closed back up appropriately. They're approximately $1,000, $1,200 a post. we're already caught. We already have our consultant been hired, been doing design since 2008. We have a contractor who, on low bid, wins. This is what low bid wins. It's amazing to me that this is not us trying to we're not talk about taxpayers' dollars and whatnot. The lessons learned you'll see later is being applied very quickly.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Did it have to be low bid? I'm in the public sector,
Yep.
and we put money or total cost. Well, we look at total cost first of all, but we frequently put the money factor as low as 30% because
Yes.
quality. I'm in the hospital sector. Patient care comes first. So, did it have to be low bid?
This is we typically do RFP matrix evaluations. What you're speaking of, we'll do price where price is 20%, and we'll look at competency, experience, and so forth of the contractors. So yes, I agree with you. However, this is another lesson learned. There's a culture within Peel that is all about it's harder for our legal team. Whoever brought up the thing about the legal, we have quite a legal team, but they don't like going to court. If the message back to us internally at capital projects is go with low bid, it's easy to defend. When we push the envelope, and that is pushing the envelope for us to go RFP, we have to then make an airtight case that when we subjectively decided by consensus as a team that vendor A, B, C, and D all scored in these areas, you have to track that very carefully. So in this particular project, it was low bid on the tender package.
That's a shame, isn't it? It does prove that, if you look at total cost of ownership and you really do your homework, then it's what it costs in the long run that matters.
Completely agree with you.
Oh, by the way, I've
Yes.
learned so much at your Energy Matters conferences, and I hope you take the time to mention it.
Well, thank you for mentioning it. It's coming up in May. And we didn't talk beforehand. I want to touch base. So there was the structural piece, the challenge. Another challenge was gestation periods on these projects in Peel, 3 to 4 years easily. So I don't even blink an eye with the OPA process of 2 to 3 years. We talk in units of years. So it's like how many weeks? No, it doesn't even. That granularity doesn't exist for us. How many units will a project like this take? Maybe 3. So that's the way we laughingly look at it. When this project was originally envisioned, we were able to connect in series, and I'm not sure that anybody spoke to that yet, but Measurement Canada came out with a ruling or an interpretation, I believe. I forget the date. This project was designed prior to that, and what that meant was, at the time, we would have been able to connect to the lighting panel on the floor where the solar panels, solar modules were being installed. Post, we now have to connect to the grid, and the grid is 600 volt 3-phase. So I went from having 2 single-phase inverters, now 3-phase inverters. These are 3 single-phase inverters. And in dealing with Branko's team, Branko, if you're still here, we were unable to make that work very easily. So this is the only one they've allowed, and apparently there's no more allowed. So just as a note, small 10 kilowatt project made for a residential application. Here we are, we're coming along, a commercial entity, industrial ICI people, and we're trying to make something like this work, and it doesn't always work. So there are 3-phase single 10 kilowatt inverters out there. Just another challenge we had run into. Basically, they're interconnected. If one of the legs of the phase go down, they all have to go down. Okay, so this is fun. So we talk about units. So this particular project is approximately 4 units long. And Tall Pines is a long-term care center. We're looking at this particular product here. In terms of life cycle thinking, we were wanting to integrate the solar into the roof, electric roof, for various reasons. These are crystalline cells. Did not do so well. We were in design. We were moving ahead towards procuring this project. This particular manufacturer found and admitted and had to. They left Canada, unfortunately. Their diode, they were catching on fire. So we had to. At the point here is, crystalline doesn't do very well with high temperature. Not that the crystalline itself was dealing with it. The crystalline itself was losing its kilowatt-hour ability under high heat. The diodes apparently were catching fire. Anyways, Dave could speak to that better than I can. He can deal with that. So this project got not shelved. It just got pushed aside for a couple of years. So we then looked at ballast mounting systems and put some effort into it. We evaluated it. We had it laid out. We had the structural complete. We went to consulting. A consultant came on board, and then, long story short, a director of long-term care killed the project because, and rightfully so, the roof membrane was damaged. It was a 7-year-old project, a 7-year-old building, and they were having issues, and we couldn't encumber that space with a roofing module. So, take 2. So, take 3. We're now scrambling. We have a contractor just about to be hired. Let's do an awning style. So this is a graphical rendering that you see here on the bottom. The one on the top right's Calgary site. I just think it's fascinating. It's I believe a childcare facility. Just the idea here is that the residents are seniors in the south. This south-facing wall of the building they're being evacuated in July. Not evacuated, they're being relocated in July because of the heat gain into these rooms. So we thought, okay, great, we can hit 2 birds with 1 stone. This project was $180,000 the way you see it, but there was some miscommunication between a contractor and a consultant, and it turns out that the masonry work would have cost us $100,000, 3 months evacuation of those 3 floors, and a 3-month delay. So, no, we're not going to do that. What take am I on? Take 4. Okay, so you can't accuse me of not being persistent, but maybe a little stupid. So here we are. This is it. How about the parking lot? Let's get it off the building. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to put up a car shade system. All right. So that's what we're doing. Let's call it what it is. We want a solar project really bad at this site. And I'm willing to take the 64 cents now.
Does that count as a rooftop system?
No, it does
Or is that
not.
a ground mount?
That is a ground mount system.
Yeah.
But it's under 10 kilowatts, so I get 64. 64? Whoever's more, 64?
Yeah.
But it's carport.
Oh.
It's a thin line. How do you, I thought
The definition, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but the structure had to be specifically built for whatever purpose, and then you put the solar on top. It's not the other way around, like the Hay Solar example.
so you
Where
had first build the car shading system and then put the panels on
you were going to
top.
build it anyways, I think is the nuance, and then I'm going to put solar on top. Has anybody got a clarification on that? Yes, sir.
Yeah, I think the purpose, even if you build it, they recently clarified the policy to specifically exclude like parking lot installations, and so they've covered that specifically. So I don't think carports. But I had a question.
Yes.
The awnings, they would count as rooftop.
Yes, they did.
Yeah.
Yep. That would have been fantastic. Beautiful, beautiful project. If you can get it on a new building, is best. And just very quick, the point that we were having problems there is that we thought you could hilty through the masonry into the into the cinder blocks behind, but it would crush the brick, and the brick has no structural capacity whatsoever. So you have to remove so much of the brick, put a flange plate in, bolt, then hilty into that, and then you re-brick. And it's that whole masonry piece that kiboshed this whole thing. So this is a beautiful project. I'm really excited about this one. It's under construction right now. It's going to be built in the next probably 2-3 weeks, commissioned hopefully by end of April. This is our FIT project, 27 kilowatts. I just want to bring to your attention that we're still doing the same process that you are with your 500 kilowatt project, 250 kilowatt project, and it takes a lot of effort. We do it internally. And I feel that though this is our first, we have now 2 under our belt. It's not so bad. We can do it, and it's going to go okay. The price on this project, you can see here now, the price is coming down. What we've done here, this is part of the lessons learned. The first projects you saw, the whole aftermath thinking of how you integrate with the structure. This was talking to the building condition assessment people we have at Peel. When is this roof going to be replaced? And they said, well, less than 5 years. Well, we're not going to put solar on top. Can we work together? So we did a standing seam project. Basically, we upgraded the roof. So we went, I believe I have we I'm going to go to this picture first and I'll back up. So there's a corrugated metal roof, and then what we did was put 16-inch wide standing seam metal pans over top. So then we can use the synergy of working with that cross-section of S5 clip. I believe there's other clips similar to that. Yeah. But just the mere idea here is that no roof penetrations. And we have a 50-year life of the project. We don't talk 20 years, we talk 35 years. I know the culture I work in. If there's any opportunity to take a system off or to disconnect it, it would happen. So in 20 years, what we're doing is making it so they can't. So if we're talking environmental sustainability, I appreciate your comments earlier. So if the elephant is that difficult for us to move, well, we're going to make it difficult for them to move back. So that's sort of our thinking on that. So I have 5 social housing buildings that are going to host PV and so photovoltaic solar domestic hot water systems. We're going to continue to do a mix over the next 5 years. Next council term until 2014, we have an energy management plan that's going forward for approval. It will continue to be heavily solar domestic hot water and minimal on the PV side. We can talk about that later, why. So specifically though, lessons learned, I already have the dollars in front of me. We're looking at $12 to $14 a watt for these PV systems. And this is where we apply our lessons learned. The integration piece prior has been taken to a new level. We don't do ballast mounted. Still an open discussion. I was at a site last week, a 260 kilowatt system, beautiful system. They explained to me how it can be made to work with the maintenance concerns. However, what we're doing in this particular project is we're doing posts. So we are hiring a consultant, roofing consultant, that's going to put the posts in with input from the solar contractor. Where do those posts need to be? When the solar contractor shows up, the posts are laid out, they just lay their racking on top so they don't touch the roof. The warranty with the roof contractors directly with peel. So that's one of our lessons learned. That's the way we're going to approach it. We were hoping to get the price driven down, but there's other factors at play here. This is a renewable energy initiative, is a great program, $70 million that was offered to social housing providers. But we have very strict timelines, and it was difficult to go to get the best pricing. This was an RFP that we were able to select somebody for. So there's basically a bunch of lessons that we've learned. The little drawing here, I'll speak to the drawing. When in 15, 20 years, the roof membrane guys are coming to work, we got to give them enough space to do that so the system is high enough that you don't remove it. Expect that in 20 years when the contract's up at OPA, is there a new contract program in place? If not, we're just going to net meter. The system's still producing 80% plus of its nameplate. Why get rid of it? Unless there's like some gee whiz bang technology that's been developed in the meantime, there's no sense. So that's the reason we're not going ballast mounted. Is there's several, but that's one of them. And the other piece there is competing interest for roof space, which I find very interesting. Region of Peel bristles. Our social housing towers, they just bristle with cell towers. And they're about $8,000 to $10,000 of revenue a year. So I have all this headache and all this system on a microfit system to get about the same return, and they put up this thing in less than a day. So this is part of the lessons learned. It's a project started in 2005. I was talking about units. Well, these are 6 units ago that we have this. This is a solar hot water structure that's going to be going in place. But just note, this is the type of thinking we're evaluating. It's like, how do we drive the price down? How do we help manage the risk so the solar contractor doesn't feel they're overexposed? And this is part of it. It's doing the building permits, doing the structural piece all up front. There's no ambiguities, no gray areas. So that's basically it. This is not, I'd love to say this was one of our sites, but it ain't. I have a whole piece on building integrated photovoltaics, which is the next several slides. I understand you're going to be getting a copy of the presentation so you can look at them. But essentially, the lessons learned is integrate. Get away from this type of thing. Right? This, in a way, isn't this sort of what it's like? I mean, you're struggling to make something work. a parking lot at the end of the day. Why not? 64 cents? Why not? Why does it have to be on the building? I understand why the program is developed that way. It makes sense. It's just my experience, and I speak from my experience at Peel. It's been really challenging. We have a lot of good potential though. If we offset other materials in our building envelope. The prime example there being the brick facade. Maybe we could have put solar modules up and attached it to flush with the roof, then we wouldn't have the whole structural piece be such a problem. And I'm just going to zip through real quick here. There's pictures of facades, curtain walls, glazings. This was great. We had this. We did a mock-up on our 6th floor at our headquarters with the one in the bottom right there. We painted on these little black squares, and we had a couple people sitting in their cubicle, and we had staff comment, and it really negative response, very negative response, and it was simply because it was they can't control it. They want to be able to roll it up, so it's so we're not going to do it in an office space necessarily, but in like there's many other areas where this could work well. I understand the City of Toronto is going to be looking at stuff like this too. At the end of the day, this helps in the economics. If the fit rates do decline in October, we're going to be looking for all sorts of opportunities like that. And I'm just bringing it to your attention. This is something we're looking at as well. And this is one of the first projects I believe Dave Nixon worked on in the bottom middle there. Dave, are you here?
Yeah.
I can't see you, buddy.
Yeah.
Okay. So did you work on this one? Or was this pre?
Yeah.
Yep.
No, it's almost after.
This is City of Waterloo site, yeah. Cells embedded in glass. We have awning style. This is what we were trying to do at Tall Pines. This is great. It's integrated into the parking structure. This is in San Diego. And they, of course, solar air heating, just what a great example. Then bottom right, which is this site right here. And this is, Dave and I used to work at Arise many years ago. Just using unisolar technologies there, gluing the membrane into standing seam metal pans on the top right. And the left is an example of shingles. I believe Courtright still has a sample of that. Yeah. And the bottom is an MSK product. I believe it's a new company that owns the module, but it's meant to be replacing the shingles. So there you go. Any questions? Yeah.
It's a lot cheaper than, wind, photovoltaic, geothermal.
Yeah, are you speaking to that $1 to $3 versus $5, I believe was part of that rule of thumb? So for every dollar you put into an energy conservation, you would have had to put $5 into renewable to make the same difference, is that?
Well, it's really the whole environmental philosophy that it's much better to reduce energy consumption at source
Sure.
than to look at where somebody talked about having nice systems that
Right.
look very good, and it's the right way to go in terms of renewable energy and moving us away from a fossil fuel system. But if you don't look at where the energy is being consumed
That's right.
and
That's
if you
right.
have existing lighting systems, using those systems appropriately.
That I led the conversation with that we are just a portion of the big picture for energy conservation, and what you're speaking of is exactly right. We do all that. The buildings are tightened up, energy audits are performed, retrofits are put into the building condition assessment process, daylighting, harvesting. There's many features. I don't know Mackenzie's work personally, but thank you for that. That solar flares project, the first one, people weren't coming and doing PR and ribbon cuttings for a new sub-metering project that we did or that we put in some installation, but this became a face of the program, really, what it has been the past 5 years. I'm told now they're sick of using it on their literature internally, but the point there is that it's a lead-in. It's like, okay, well, yeah, that's great, but look at all this other stuff that has great impacts. For every 10 kilowatts are put up, I think it's about 3 tons of greenhouse gas emission. For the same amount of cash input, I'm getting about 4 times that with solar hot water. For an equivalent amount of cash in, how much more can you do with insulation and so forth? Yeah, there's a lot. It depends on what your drivers are. So we have this portion that's going forward at Peel that will include hopefully a landfill concept that's under, using landfills. We have 2 under consideration in the next few years. Now those are megawatt scale. Currently we own all of them. We have the money, we can do that. Smaller municipalities can't. That's fine, I get it. But the big one, the message to us is you can't go to council with a homeless shelter being requested alongside a renewable energy project. So basically we're stuck in under that 50 kilowatts. All right, thank you kindly.